I waited until about 10 o'clock to start reading my pages for The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall and ended up falling asleep. Who's surprised? Literally no one. Fingers crossed. Remember my last update for The Righteous where I was saying that I was really nervous about where it was going? Fingers crossed that we like where it's going, because I don't know if I can take another disappointing book. Hello, beautiful besties. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori. If you're new, I hope that you're having the most amazing day of your entire stinking life. We're doing a reading challenge this week. We are reading 200 pages every single day. I used to do these challenges all the time and I would read so much. The rules of the challenge are I can read more than my target goal for the day, that's no problem, but every single day I have to read at least 200 pages, and I cannot roll, if I read extra pages in a day, I cannot roll those into the next day. I need accountability to sit down and read, and I figured if I have a target that I'm trying to hit in terms of a page number, perfect, beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, but also I have a lot of Libby holds lately. I have been a Kindle reading, audiobook reading girly lately. My Libby holds have been hot fire flames, but I have a handful of books that I need to finish before the due date comes. So we have motivation on multiple levels for this vlog. I hope that you're excited. If you are, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Let's talk about the books that I'm going to be reading. Okay, so I have a couple books that I'm currently in the middle of that are going to be my top priorities. The first one being The Righteous by Renee Ahdieh. I am buddy reading this with a couple of my friends and I have not been doing a good job of keeping up with our pages each day. We've been reading like 50 to 60 pages each day and it's absolutely absurd that yesterday I did not meet our page goal. So I have to catch up on that today. This is the third book in the beautiful quartet. It is about vampires, fae, werewolves. It takes place in New Orleans. It was part of the inspiration of why I wanted to go to New Orleans for my bachelorette trip. I'm obsessed with this series and it's kind of an older series. I know that the fourth and final book just got released maybe this past December, but these books started getting published maybe in like 2020. They have a very captivating writing style because they're very suspenseful. You're more interested in the entire cast of characters and not just the like love interest main characters, if that makes sense. I'm really honestly interested in all of the characters because they have such interesting backstories. So that is The Righteous. I'm currently 27% of the way through, so we still have quite a ways to go with that book. The next book that I'm in the middle of, actually, I'm like 70% of the way through, so I'm hoping to finish it today, is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is our Who Did This To You book club pick for April. I'm obsessed with this book. It is so fun. Like, talk about another book that actually has a ton of suspense, also tension. This one is a fantasy romance, whereas The Righteous is definitely just like a YA fantasy. There is romance in it, but there's a lot more going on with the plot in that one, whereas Heartless Hunter, the main focus is truly the romance that's going on. This is classified as YA, but I've heard that there's like some spice in it. It might be like fade to black spice. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but I'm very intrigued. The tension is tensioning, the banter is bantering. I'm also very obsessed because it's giving Regency era romantasy with the way that there are so many parties and the girls have to really dress up and they get gowns made for them. There is a certain level of courtship going on in the romance as well. Our main character's name is Rune. She is a witch in this society, which is extremely dangerous, and she has to hide who she is because witches are persecuted. So basically the Royal Guard, or I think they call them the Blood Guard, hunts down witches on the regular because they are just seen as a plague to society. Rune goes undercover as her code name, alter ego, I don't know. This is just kind of the title that they gave this vigilante in the society. She goes undercover as the Crimson Moth at night because she tries to save witches who get captured by the Blood Guard and they will be executed. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off of her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution who she can't help but find herself falling for. Then the book that I really need to prioritize that I haven't started yet, it's due back to the library in 4 days, is called The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall. This is by Anna Bright. The cover of this book also is so cute. This is a YA fantasy. It's perfect for fans of Margaret Rogerson and Alison Saft. Immediately with Margaret Rogerson, it spoke to my heart and soul. I honestly have no idea how to say these character names though, so please excuse me. Fion, it's spelled F-F-I-O-N, question mark. Fion is the last head witch in Fox Hall. To work her magic, she takes only what nature can spare, unlike the witches of the powerful Fox Hall Coven who sacrifice whole forests to fuel their spells. But across the warring kingdom of Wales, all magic is fading. Even the dragons have vanished. Prince Taliesin would love nothing more than to watch magic die. But when his father charges Tal and his brother Dafydd with destroying King Offa's dike, the massive earthen wall raised by their Mercian enemies to the east, which may be the cause of magic's disappearance, he begrudgingly seeks aid from a witch. Because whichever prince succeeds in destroying this wall will win the throne, and Tal is willing to do whatever it takes to become king, even if Foxhall Coven refuses to help him. He's forced to team up with a Spitfire hedge witch who hates him almost as much as he hates her magic. And even if Dafydd proves to be a worthier rival than he anticipated for the crown and for Fion's heart. It's giving love triangle. It's giving hate to love. It's giving literally everything. Also, it's very interesting that in 2 books that I'm reading, Heartless Hunter and this one, these men like hate magic and hate witches, and they're falling in love with the witch. That was unintentional. So those 3 are priorities, but obviously I'm like already into 2 of them. The other like hopefuls for this week in this vlog, we'll see what happens. I have Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar, which I'm so excited to get to. I will talk about the synopses for these if I end up getting to them. And then I also have Fate and Furies by Helen Scher. I'm also going to be potentially buddy reading this with my friend Katie from Katie's Book Nook. I've gotten to the spice. I'm about to start working on a bullet journal spread because I find that when I do these challenges, it's really helpful for me to write down how many pages I'm reading each day, and that way I can have like totals at the end and stuff like that. So I'm about to start working on that and picking out my little colors. I'm gonna have it be the same like color scheme as my April spread. But I'm listening to Heartless Hunter, and the scene that just happened broke my absolute heart. Both being little secret squirrels, and so like the facade that they both have to have, her rune towards Gideon, that is her facade, whereas with Gideon, he wants to like succumb to his feelings for her, and so he's like really nice to Rune when he's in front of her, but to everyone else he has to have this facade of like, yeah, she's a suspect, and like I'm trying to woo her to like get close to her to see if she's actually the Crimson Moth. And the scene that just happened, I'm not okay. Heartless Hunter. And I'm really torn about what to rate it. I really want to rate it a 4.5. I'm trying to put my finger on what isn't making it a 5-star for me, because I loved it. Like, I really enjoyed this book. I loved the enemies to lovers. They actually are true enemies, but they also hate each other as well. The tension was so good. The ending was so good. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like a full 5-star to me, but it's like so close. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5. The ending of this book, the next book doesn't come out until February 18th, 2025, and it's called Rebel Witch. And that's really annoying. Like, why doesn't it come out sooner? What I'm thinking I might do, because the release date is so far away, I might do a bullet journal spread for this and do like a little synopsis of the main points. That way, as we get closer to February of next year, if I don't want to reread this, I won't have to. I'll have that like journal page synopsis to look back on to review. Apparently, I'm all about the bullet journaling lately, like any excuse to bullet journal. That's what I've been doing. Last night, I spent maybe like 45 minutes. Oh my gosh, I have a hair. Listening to Sabrina Carpenter's new song Espresso, because I'm obsessed with it. That and Hosier's song Too Sweet, like I'm obsessed with them. So I spent 45 minutes basically just listening to those two songs on repeat and making a bullet journal spread for Swift and Saddled. I've just been a bullet journaling machine lately. I think I might listen to some music right now actually and do this spread. I think that is the plan. I will show you the bullet journal spread for Heartless Hunter when I'm done. I did finish this. I have to hide, so I did put spoilers of like the end, because if I really don't want to reread, I'm gonna want to know all of like the spoilers at the end. So that's why I'm covering part of this, because I don't want, but let me show you. Look at this little collage. I love this side. I think it came out so cute. And then we have these pictures as well. So I did write on some of the pictures just like important little things to remember. I think next up we are going to read The Righteous, because I really need to catch up on those pages. That will be my remaining pages for the day, and then I think the next time I check in will be tomorrow, unless something like really juicy happens in The Righteous. Besties, we have a page update from yesterday. We went a little bit over our goal. We read 218 pages. We ended up reading 71 pages of The Righteous, because that was like the next best stopping point because of chapters and such. So today we are going to be starting The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall, which I'm very excited about. I will probably be immersive reading that one, because I have the ebook on my Kindle, but I also have the audiobook. I really hope that it's giving Margaret Rogerson vibes, because it's been so long since I've read a cute YA fantasy romance, and that's just what I need. So fingers crossed we really like Anna Bright. This is my first book that I've ever read by her. This book came out as well, I want to say last month in March, so it is a new release. And then the page goal for The Righteous is another 50 pages. So we'll see. I have to look at what chapter we will stop at and see if that's exactly 50 or if that's a little bit over. But targeting around 150 pages of The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall. Because The Righteous is a third book in a series, I'm gonna keep my updates extremely general, because at this point I can't really talk about what's specifically happening in the book. But I mentioned that the series has a lot of magical creatures at first. In the first 2 books, the focus has been on vampires and werewolves. However, there are a lot of other magical creatures in this world. It was a bit of a surprise when these new characters started getting introduced to the series, because the first book definitely reads like it's going to be a vampire werewolf series. And so the third book, I know that this one was the most controversial because the fans of the series that had read the first two when these books were getting released, the third book came out and were not following the same main characters as in books 1 and 2. This book we're following side characters for what seems like the whole entire time, because I'm about 45% of the way through the book. I really enjoy the magical realm in this book series because it's giving Elfheim. So I'm obviously here for it because the Book of the Air series is like one of my favorite book series of all time. The section that I read yesterday, it started to feel very repetitive because it was like rehashing a lot of details that we already established in the prior books. So yesterday's section that we read, I wasn't a massive fan of. However, I'm really liking the character dynamic between the two side characters that we're following. I think it's really, really fun. There are a lot of love triangles in this series. It's like each of our main girly pops pretty much has a love triangle that's going on. So that is interesting. It's like a throwback to like the Twilight era of books where like everything had a love triangle, like the Hunger Games had a love triangle, Twilight had a love triangle. That is the update for The Righteous right now. I think that's where I'm gonna start just to get my 50 pages of that one out of the way. Okay, I'll check in a little bit. Happy Wednesday. So as you would have seen, we just updated our reading journal spread for yesterday, and unfortunately I did not hit my 200 pages. I read 143 pages, 50 more of The Righteous, and then I only read 93, I think it was, of The Head Witch of Foxhall. I waited until about 10 o'clock to start reading my pages and ended up falling asleep. Who's surprised? Literally no one. That being said, this morning I had to take my car to the dealership to get an oil change. While I was waiting, I was able to read more of The Hedge Witch. I'm now on page 150. Update on The Righteous first. Yesterday, I did not like the last chapter of the section that we read because I don't love the direction that the book is going, and I'm hoping that it gets better. This book flips between multi-POV, and we've started to just get some really random character chapters, and it feels like so far in that book we really haven't had much of a plot. It's very much been vibes and a relationship building between two characters specifically, which I have really enjoyed, but now it feels like we're at the halfway point through the book. This random characters chapter just got thrown in there, and it seems like in that one chapter it's trying to develop the entire plot. So I am happy to be focusing on a different book today. Overall thoughts so far for The Hedge Witch of Foxhall. I love a naturalistic magic style. I mean, she's a hedge witch, right? So she pulls her magic from nature and from the land and from the earth. Thank God that I have the audiobook, because otherwise I would not know how to say half of the words in this book. It takes place like ancient Wales. The time stamp that we got at the beginning of the book was 763 AD. Fionn has a very, I guess, holistic way to her magic because she doesn't like to take more than she needs. She understands the crisis of the land where they don't have a lot of magic to continue going around, and she thinks it's absolutely horrifying what not only the Coven of Fox Hall is doing and how they go about casting these really powerful spells, but she also just disagrees with the king and the kingdom and royalty because she has taken it upon herself to help the people of her town. She's such a spitfire. She is a complete loner and proud of it, but it's like very political, the fact that she is separating herself from these entities of power. They just seem extremely corrupt and like they just don't care the destruction that they're causing. Tal hates her magic. He thinks it's like really gross and disgusting, and she just thinks that he overall as a person is extremely disgusting because he's royalty, he's a prince. She feels like he's corrupt, his morals are non-existent. She hates his finery and that he's rich, and she just thinks you could be doing so much more for your people and you're kind of a POS. I still have a little bit. I have about an hour before I have to log into work. I am currently making pizza dough because Ross and I have been doing Friday night pizza nights. We got this new little pizza oven. It's like a very legit pizza oven that Ross really, really wanted. So last week was our first week that we made like handmade pizzas, and I handmade our dough. Last week was my first time making pizza dough ever, and I really, really enjoy it. So I showed a little bit of that earlier. I was just finishing listening to this audiobook to get to page 150 before I wanted to do my check-in. So I'm about to listen to some more of this book, finish making my pizza dough and let it rest, and then we have to work. And so hopefully today will be a really productive audiobook listening day. I've only read a little bit more, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in because there's certain things that I just need to update on. So my last check-in was around 34% for the Hedge Witch of Fox Hall. I'm now at 52%. It's definitely switching more to flirty banter. However, it's still just so pointed at each other. Like, I really enjoy how flirty teasing, it's like being mean teasing. However, because we're getting dual POV, Fionn will have moments where she's like, I had to stop looking at him because otherwise I would just stare at his stupid mouth, even though she's like saying something really mean to him. I also forgot to mention that Fionn, to do her magic, she sings songs, and it's so cute. Like, I just really love the magic in this book. I think it's absolutely adorable. But there was this scene where there was a bunch of soldiers. They were camped out by this big lake that was supposed to be really beautiful, very clean. You could drink out of it. But these stupid soldiers were like going to the bathroom in the lake and like doing all this stuff, and it made the lake smelly, polluted, gross. And they came upon these soldiers and they were like, you're a hedge witch, like we've been looking for a hedge witch because we need to fix this lake because now we can't drink from it anymore and it's smelly and whatever. So she gets in the lake and she is trying to heal the lake and make it clean again, purify it. And she's trying to think of a song to sing, and she decides to sing a song about ale. She gets in the lake and she's like, it's yellow and it's bubbling and it's gross, and it reminded her of like ale or mead or whatever. And so she started singing this song about ale. People don't take her seriously because they're like, she's just singing a stupid song about beer. What is that gonna do? And then she like purifies the dang lake. Tal, when he first saw her magic and her singing, because she's singing to the wall as well during certain parts of their journey to do what she needs to do. And at first he was like, are you joking? I teamed up with this girl who is just singing silly songs. He is questioning and second guessing because no one takes her seriously, but she uses that to her advantage. She wants people to underestimate her. She's so smart and she's so clever and she's so scheming, and they're all laughing at her, and she's like, y'all just freaking wait. Hello besties, we are getting ready for the day later than what I was anticipating. But a quick reading update from yesterday. I actually have to calculate the number of pages that I read. I definitely hit my target of 200. After this clip, we will update the reading journal. I read up to 84% in the Hedge Witch of Fox Hall, and I think I only have about an hour left of the audiobook today. I'm still enjoying it. However, I don't know what it is lately. I'm accidentally reading so many books that have a love triangle in them, and it's really not the vibe. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because in The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, I think I mentioned this, there's kind of a love triangle between the two princes and our main girly pop Theon, but I really don't like either of the princes, and they're the two male main characters. Theon is a great character. I love her backstory. I love her in general. Like Tal, for example, this is a YA, but he reads so immature, and also his relationship with his mother is like the driving force of his motivation as a character. The reason he wants to become king is because his mother isn't safe in the kingdom, and because the king and his new maiden, we'll call her, aren't big fans of her. Obviously, she's like an ex that's still hanging around, and she had a bastard son with the king. And although that seems honorable and whatever, it's coming off really weird, and you learn some like backstory behind Tal. He's giving like really weird mommy issues. It's not as like cutesy and fun as I thought it was gonna be. The overall mood and tone of this book is much more like serious and political, like we've talked about. I'm going to be happy to be done with it, and then hopefully, I can't imagine that Fate and Furies would ever disappoint me. So very excited to move on to a different book. To get dressed, we need to go. We are absolutely running behind. Let's go to Target, and then I will follow up with the actual page number that I read yesterday and final thoughts on The Hedge Witch of Foxhall once I finish her. The Hedge Witch of Foxhall, and I have some disappointing final thoughts. I've been trying to put my finger this whole time on what this book reminds me of. The way that this book was pitched. Remember before I started this book, I was like, I'm ready for a super cute like YA fantasy romance that's giving whimsical. You tell me, Margaret Rogerson. I think whimsical, beautiful, magical world with great dialogue and characters that I really care about. None of which was present. So I don't think that this book was really pitched well, or I don't think it really delivered on what it was promising. This book, if you ever watched The Last Kingdom, that's what this book is. The whole time we're building up to this battle, and because it takes place in Wales, you have a lot of the same territories that are discussed in The Last Kingdom, except where The Last Kingdom had a haughty McHotster like Uhtred, there's no Uhtred. This is like, it's from the character's perspective of King Alfred and like his whole court, which was like arguably the most boring part of that show. This book is just boring. It's so slow paced. The plot is extremely see-through the entire time. There's no plot twists that are like a big shock or surprise. The romance does not romance. The romance was not good. It's like The Last Kingdom, but replace the religious aspects of that show, because a lot of those battles are in pursuit of like spreading religion and Christianity or Catholicism, I can't remember. Replace religion with witchcraft and magic. Anyways, I'm giving it 2 stars. Really upsetty spaghetti about it. And that is 79 pages in the books for today. So now I think I'm gonna switch to The Righteous. We're reading about 73 pages of that for today. So that's gonna bring me to 152 pages. I'll read the remainder of my pages and this beautiful goddess queen. My goal for today was actually to read about 100 pages of Fate and Furies because I just have a feeling that once I start, I'm not going to want to stop. Fingers crossed. Remember my last update for The Righteous where I was saying that I was really nervous about where it was going? Fingers crossed that we like where it's going because I don't know if I can take another disappointing book. Happy Friday. Apologies that I think this is my first check-in of today. I tried to take little snippets of today because it was very much an errands, running around, lots of driving type of day, which was honestly perfect because it gave me so much time to listen to the new Taylor Swift album. I think right now, like my top absolute favorite, just because I love Post Malone so much and the song is everything, Fortnite is like my number one. Very close second is I'm Gonna Get You Back. I love it so much. Then the rest are kind of all like tied for third place. I just can't pick past my top two. I love The Black Dog, Thank You Amy. The intake of air that I took listening to that song and just held it for the entirety, it sent me into orbit, into outer space. Like I couldn't even deal with it. I also love, I look in people's windows. Oh my gosh, I just love it so much. I feel like I'm still listening and finding new favorites. The Albatross is also really good. Oh my gosh, I just love so many of them. They're so good. So that's what I was doing for most of the day. However, I owe you a check-in from yesterday's reading, the total pages that we did. It was my best reading day. I ended up reading 282 pages, which is fantastic. I ended up reading 100 pages of Fate and Furies, and I would have read more, but I had to go to sleep last night. Like, I haven't been this sucked into a book. It didn't feel like I was reading, which is so nice because like last week, even though I was reading Cowboy Romance and I was really enjoying them, it still felt like I was reading because I was still coming out of burnout and feeling a little bit slumpy. And then even this week, the books that I've been reading have not been hitting. So this is like a breath of fresh air. Like it is just so freaking good. The first 100 pages, this is also a third book in a series, so I can't say too much. She's always angry, but like her rage is palpable. The betrayal that happens from the last book, like I'm also mad for her, but then you get like the Wilder POV. It's so good. I love him. He is like my top book boyfriend. He has just skyrocketed to take the #1 spot. The reading updates from today, because I really haven't read too much because I've been running around, but when I got home, I blew up my pool float, which I think I would have shown like the briefest clip with no context. I blew up my pool float that I got from Target the other day for $10. Absolutely stunning. I took my Kindle and a diet soda to the pool. I ended up finishing The Righteous, which was 47 pages for today. So I'm going to read my remaining pages from Fate and Furies. But final thoughts on The Righteous, it definitely was not my most favorite of the series so far. I still felt very disjointed. It felt like everything got smushed into the last 50%, which I know I talked about. But then also, like, as much as I love Pippa and Arjun, everything in this book just felt really rushed. It was just the pacing was so off, and it really just felt like Renee Ahdieh was typing away on her computer, having a silly goofy time writing Pippa and Arjun, and then she was like, okay, well wait, how do I set up like the last book in the series? It is currently 7:47. I am showered, the makeup is off, obviously the contacts are out, snuggle comfy in bed, my annotation supplies. I am ready to read Fate and Furies and just giggle, scream, kick my feet. Okay friends, final reading check-in and a little wrap up for the reading 200 pages a day challenge. Last night I did read my 155 pages of Fate and Furies. I'm now on page 258. I would hold up the book, but I put it in my pool bag, so we're about to head to the pool. So total pages read on the last day, which was Friday, yesterday, was 202. So I only missed my page goal of 200 pages one day on Tuesday when we read 143 pages. We finished 3 books this week. I am officially over the halfway point in Fate and Furies. I'm really enjoying it as like a final touch base on how I'm feeling about that book. Like, Helen Scher with this series has skyrocketed to become one of my favorite authors. I really just love her so much. I think she's done what nobody else has done before and like kept an enemies to lovers theme trope going between our 2 main characters in all 3 of these books in this series so far. Like, who does that? It is so good. And then how their relationship continues to like develop through each of the books. It's so good. There's also a 1 horse trope in this book again. It's like she wrote it just for me. I'm obsessed with it. I haven't been annotating like too much because this book is extremely plot heavy. Like, it feels like almost every chapter there's something that's driving the plot forward. And that's not to say that the other books aren't fast-paced as well, because I would describe this as a quite fast-paced series. I wouldn't describe the romance as fast burn though. I feel like it's much more medium. I wouldn't classify it as a slow. Actually, the first book I would classify the romance as a slow burn, but the romance is pretty medium paced. The plot is very fast paced, but this book even more so. And I'm so excited because it feels like it's building a lot of things to create what the plot is going to be in the final book, but it's not a setup book. Like, there's so much happening in and of itself. It is just a wonderful experience and I'm very happy to be here. So we read a total of 1,073 pages this week. Even though not all of the books this week were incredible reads for me, I feel like I'm getting back into a good stride with my reading, which I haven't felt in quite some time. Hope that you enjoyed watching, friends. If you made it this far, please leave a little horsey emoji for my 1 horse trope that just feeds my absolute soul. I will catch you in the comments and I will see you in my next one. Bye.